Today on the LA Food Podcast. As KCRW said this week, it's a diarrhea-led summer, dear listener, and while we're definitely unpacking that story on Chef's Kiss Big Miss, the diarrhea we're really digging into is of the verbal variety. Richie Gaines is apparently a TikTok influencer known for his Is It Worth It video series. That's exactly the question Richie must be asking himself now after his viral review of Armenian bakery and cafe Yerord Moss's Basturma brisket sandwich. Richie set off a firestorm by shrieking "fuck tradition" during his rant about the sandwich's $38 price tag, resulting in thousands of polarized comments, a Los Angeles Times article, and Yerord Moss going as far as to temporarily remove the sandwich from the menu. I'm joined today by my close friend and Taekwondo producer Robert Haleblian to break down the incident. Robert's been going to Yerord Moss since the very early pop-up days and has some strong but informed opinions on why Richie hit a nerve. It's honestly a conversation on tradition, what we should pay for our food, and why influencers keep choosing the dark arts to make their names. On Chef's Kiss Big Miss, it's the return of my wife, dear listener. She's back and the takes are hotter than ever. We discuss the rise of the luxury all-you-can-eat buffet, the return of the tasting kitchen in Venice, Chipotle introducing Mexican food to Chex Notes Mexico, and of course, diarrhea lettuce summer. A reminder that the LA Food Podcast is part of the Acquired Taste media family. Be sure to listen to our sister podcast, Taekwondo, with Bill Esparza, produced by Robert Haleblian. This week, they spoke with none other than Phil Rosenthal at Max and Helen's, no less. It's a great conversation. You're not going to want to miss it. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, and without further ado, it's time to chow down. Dear listener, this is not an ad, it's just a humble request from me personally. This November, I'm running the New York City Marathon with Soccer Without Borders, and I'm trying to raise $8,000 for the organization. Running the New York City Marathon has been a lifelong dream of mine, and if you listen to this show, you also know soccer is basically a lifelong obsession. Between me and Father Saul talking Champions League totally unnecessarily every other episode, and all my tortured sports metaphors, none of this should come as a surprise to you. What I love about Soccer Without Borders is that they use the game to create belonging, mentorship, confidence, and opportunity for young people, especially kids from immigrant and underserved communities, refugees a lot of the times too. It's a mission that really means a lot to me. This will also be personally my 8th marathon and very possibly my last, so I wanted to tie it to something bigger than myself. And if you're able to support even $1, $5, $10, it genuinely makes a huge difference and gets me closer to the fundraising goal. It would mean the world to me. There's a donation link in the show notes if you want to contribute. Seriously, thank you guys. All right, let's get into the episode. Welcoming to the LA Food Podcast, a first-time guest, but not a newcomer to the Acquired Taste media family. It's one of the most opinionated people in LA food. It's producer Robert Haleblian, the producer of Taekwondo with Bill Esparza. Rob, how you doing today, brother?
That was a great intro. Is this my debut? Is this my first time on?
First time on as a guest, yeah, I think. I mean, you've definitely helped behind the scenes with, like, for example, you've produced stuff, but not... You helped with our live show back in the day, but first time actually on as a guest, I think.
Wow, I'm honored. I'm honored to catch the invite.
Don't be honored. It is not an honor. Look, icebreaker question for you. You know Bill just as well as I do. On the last episode of the LA Food Podcast, I made a proclamation about Asadero Los Angeles over Tacos Royale. He got in the comments with a spicy take about my take. Do you think that that bridge is burned forever, or do you think I can repair the friendship with Bill Esparza?
Yeah, man, he hates you. It's you and Rick Bayless. He's throwing darts at you. No, you know what's funny? Actually, when I saw him, we recorded on Monday, and the first thing he said when he saw me is, "Did you see what Lucas said about Tacos Royale?" And I can tell, this is how much he respects and loves you, is that if it was anybody else who did that, it would just be like, he would have gone in. But he said, like, you know what, I understand why he did it, and he held his tongue because he loves you that much. So he was annoyed, and I understand why. He made some great points. But yeah, he wasn't as upset as he would have been if someone else did it. So you should feel honored, actually.
Honored. Deeply honored. Yeah. Deeply honored. Thank you, Bill. Don't worry. you know what I was saying. You can read between the lines of my opinions on Tacos Royale and Asadero Los Angeles. Look, before we get into our big deal of the day, which is why you've been invited today, Robert, because I really want to pick your brain about a story that kind of broke LA's food brain this week, aka the hubbub over the Yerort Mas. Did I say that correctly?
Dude, that was good. I wasn't expecting that.
Really? I said it. Okay, good. The Yerort Mas Basturma brisket sandwich. Yeah, we'll talk about it, but it's a story that's really gotten everybody's attention. Before we get there, any recent eats you'd like to highlight?
I was with you. We had some pizza. Pizza Run Club, baby.
Hell yeah, we did. Robert came to support the second annual Pizza Run Club. It's not annual. We'll be doing it every month. But we did it at Prince Street Pizza. We had a slice of Prince Street. Robert led the walkers. I led the runners. And then we had bar pie at Bar Next Door. What was your take on the pizzas?
Pizzas were good. I mean, Prince Street, you can't really go wrong. They're like, what should I say? They're like the Zonku chicken of pizza. Just consistent. You're never going to get food poisoning. You're never going to get your money robbed from you. It's worth it. Is it the best? Definitely not. But I had a great time. I felt very welcomed at 11:30 a.m. inside a pizza shop.
Hell yeah! Also, you're not going to get the lettuce shits that everybody's getting there, is what you're saying?
No, heck no. I think I just get those when I eat lettuce without the parasite anyway. So.
Good to know. And then the bar pie. I've actually got a take on bar pie. So I got to say, Kelly Dobkin, friend of the pod and the author of the excellent Substack of all places, dropped a list last week on the best bar pies in Los Angeles for the LA Times. And she included Bar Next Door on there, as well as a bunch of other places. And bar pie is definitely having a moment. I think it's the most trendy type of pie. Your friends at Wallflower and Eagle Rock are doing one. Obviously, my buddies over at Hot Tongue are doing one. Quarter Sheets is doing one. My take is that bar pies are overrated. Overrated.
You're going to make me mad within the first 5 minutes of the podcast. Are you for real? Bar pies are the best because they're like when you're 15 years old, maybe even young, when you're like 12 years old and you win a like baseball tournament, I wouldn't know. I always lost. But I imagine that when you win, you get to go eat a cheese pizza and it's a bar pie. Like the bar pie from Hot Tongue, the cheese one, reminds me of that. The Quarter Sheets one is like so elevated. And then the one that Wallflower are doing is on a blue corn sourdough crust. Like, come on. It's the best type of pizza right now in LA. I can't believe you're coming out with this take.
Look, the reason I say the take is not because I don't like bar pie. Okay. I like bar pie. I even love bar pie, okay? I love Hot Tongues. I really loved Bar Next Doors. I think they're making an absolutely excellent one, especially that one with the sausage and the giardiniera on top. It's literally just a child of how popular it is right now in Los Angeles. Commensurate to how good the pizzas actually are, I think it's overrated because bar pie, historically, was not created to be a culinary delicacy. It was created to be a bar food that makes you drink more. And as that, it's one of the great pleasures in life, and there's some places that are doing it excellently. However, everybody's talking about bar pies like it's fucking, A5 Wagyu beef these days.
So you're saying that if you go somewhere like Quarter Sheets, you're going to order like their regular deep dish style before you order the bar pie?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's overrated based on the hype. But I would absolutely order the bar pie next to their wonderful square slices. So don't misunderstand me. I like the bar pie, but I think that everybody needs to take a little bit of a step back. Also, it's funny that you said that's the pizza you would eat after your childhood baseball games is a pizza that's literally designed to make you drink more beer.
You don't know what I was up to as a kid. Come on now.
That's fair. Well, Robert, as I said, the big deal that I really wanted to pick your brain on today is the hubbub over the Yerort Mas Basturma brisket sandwich. Friend of the pod, Stephanie Brajo, wrote a great article on the situation in the LA Times, and we'll post it in the show notes. Here's a quick recap. The $38 Wagyu Basturma brisket sandwich at Glendale's Yerort Mas became an online flashpoint after influencer Richie Gaines called it quote-unquote not worth it and said, fuck the traditional style in a TikTok video that drew more than 125,000 views. The chef and owner of Yerort Mas, Arthur Gregorian, called the comments offensive and announced he would stop serving the sandwich, setting off roughly 1,000 comments across TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit from people accusing either the restaurant of hiding behind culture or the influencer of disrespecting Armenian food. After customers, supporters, and even the owner of Zonku Chicken urged him to reconsider, Gregorian put the sandwich back on the menu. The uproar has since expanded into a larger debate about influencer power, rising restaurant costs, and why Armenian and Middle Eastern food specifically are often expected to remain cheap. Robert, before we dive in, I want to know a little bit about your background with Chef Arthur, because I know that you've been following this spot for quite some time.
Yeah, for all journalistic purposes, I'm a very biased source. I'm a very biased subject. I've known Arthur for a long time. I remember I read about his first. I read about him first. LA Times had written a profile about him as a pop-up in like 2017. I was still in high school. I remember reading it. Maybe it was 2018, but I remember reading it and going, "Oh, this is crazy! Like this guy's doing."
You were in high school in 2018. Jesus Christ, you really are a Gen Z
Yeah,
correspondent.
bro. I'm Gen Z, baby. That's what we do. But yeah,
Wow.
I've been reading about Arthur for a long time. My interest was piqued. I'm Armenian, obviously. That's why Luke is having me on. We're talking about Armenians today. This is the Armenian special.
Yeah.
So anytime I see someone like Chef Arthur doing something, it's just automatically something I'm interested in. So it seemed like he was kind of advancing the culinary tradition. So I went to a pop-up, chatted him up a little bit, and yeah, we've just been friends. I ran into him here and there, and then over the years, following each other on Instagram, DMing back and forth. We're not like the best friends in the world, but we're cool. Arthur's a cool guy, so I have a lot of vested interest in this story.
So it was a pop-up, and then he moved to like a cloud kitchen where he was working out in Glendale, if I'm not mistaken, and now he's open to brick and mortar, where you can actually go and sit down.
Yeah, he had a long kind of career. He started doing the pop-up, then he was doing dinners at his house. For context, he used to work in fine dining. So this guy worked for Nancy Silverton. He trained in France. He trained in Spain, I think, too. So he went all over. At one point, he moved back to Armenia and was just operating over there. Yeah, the kind of recent history starts when he did open a cloud kitchen in Glendale that was essentially just going from what he was doing as the pop-up, which was like barbecue stuff like at Smorgasburg, to doing this Bastırma brisket sandwich. And the lines were out the door. A lot of influencers came and picked it up. And then, yeah, it just got to a point where he's like, okay, brick and mortar opportunity came up. So now he's there. His brick and mortar has been there for a couple months now. I do think it opened this year. But yeah, it's in Glendale, and I've been a couple times, and it's really cool.
And so this sandwich, at least in the articles and the social media discourse, it's being framed as a common street food in Armenian culture. Is that not correct?
I mean, kind of. Armenian food is tricky because we're such a big diaspora population. The way you eat Armenian food changes.
Yeah.
Especially, so like I'm Lebanese Armenian, so a lot of the things that I'll eat, like in Pasadena, we're a lot more of the Lebanese Armenian community. We eat differently than in Glendale, like the Russian Armenian community eats. So this sandwich is not something that I've seen in that sense. So I think that's kind of one thing that people are missing is like, we'll get into it, but I would not say Yeror Mas is like just how grandma made it. Like this is a restaurant, this is a chef that is like actually advancing culinary technique and pulling on strings and influences from a guy who's worked in non-Armenian kitchens. He's worked in European kitchens. He's worked in like coastal Italian. He's worked in LA spots. So yeah, definitely wouldn't call it like traditional, but obviously it comes from a place of tradition.
Yeah, I think what people might be comparing it to, and you could absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm inevitably wrong about these things. There's a shop in East Hollywood that was one of Jonathan Gold's favorites. It's called Sahag's Basturma Sandwich Shop, and there they have Basturma sandwiches, but they look like what I would call like panini, like pressed sandwiches with his house-made basturma there, but it's not this thick pastrami-esque looking thing that Chef Arthur is doing. It's a very thinly sliced beef, almost like it reminds me of Italian bresaola is how I would characterize it.
Yeah, lesson number one we're learning about Armenians today. Armenians love Italians. We secretly all wish we were Italian. So basturma, although there's a long history of it, the way that we kind of eat it in the U.S. is we'll cure it and slice it very thinly like you would a prosciutto or other Italian cured meats, and we'll put it in a panini just like you said. So that is very close to how I've eaten it growing up. So Arthur's sandwich is not that at all. For people who've never had it before, it is like a smoked hunk of brisket that is getting brined for a couple days. Then it's getting covered in like a pastrami spice and seasoning type thing. and then he's smoking it, and then he's slicing it. So this is, think more like a Texas style
Right.
brisket. This is like thick cuts of meat that are very tender, very
And
juicy.
Wagyu brisket, like he talks about how much it costs in the article, and it's an exorbitant amount for like a raw material. And then he slathers it in Mornay sauce and puts it in house-made bread. Is that right?
Yeah, he's firing bread to order. So he has a little Ghazni oven outside, and he's doing pita bread to orders. So all the sandwiches and all the dips that he has, if you order it, I've seen it. I was taking photos the other day, and literally order comes in, goes outside, just has a nice little ball of dough, and he's making you bread right on the spot. So it's a very intricate sandwich, yeah.
So this guy, Richie Gaines, posts this video on TikTok. First of all, had you ever heard of this fucking guy?
Heck no, of course I haven't.
No, because I had never heard of him either, but he seems to make some pretty viral videos. First red flag is he's wearing a Baltimore Orioles jersey, so it just shows a horrific lack of judgment. But did you see this video because it was raised to your attention, or did it cross your algorithm?
Definitely did not cross my algorithm. I'm not on TikTok. Yeah, I just saw that people were commenting back and forth about it, and then Chef Arthur sent it to me.
Oh, really?
So that's how I saw it for the first time. Yeah, he's like, get a load of this guy.
Did he say, do you know this guy?
He did not ask me if I knew him, but I mean, I was immediately entranced. I mean, I just love that there's no life behind Richie Gaines's eyes. I just love that he makes direct eye contact with the camera, doesn't blink. It's great. He's a great influencer.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video, he starts it actually with a video of our friend How Kev Eats. He's doing How Kev Eats did a review of the sandwich with the 1 hour lunch guy, and they were very positive about it. And it's one of those stitch videos where like they start with that video and then they transition to Richie Gaines's video. So Richie Gaines is basically using How Kev Eats review as an impetus for his own review. And yeah, the Richie Gaines, he's basically trying it, and then he's fair to say that he's just yelling at the camera about how pissed off he is about the price for approximately 2 minutes.
Yeah. And it's like, I think he used to be a stand-up comedian or something. So like, I think he thinks that the video is funny, but there's not really any jokes or punchlines. So I'm kind of like, it's a very confusing tone. I'll give it, that's some helpful criticism I'll give Richie. Try being a little more tonally adhesive, I would say.
Yeah. So it's funny because he's really upset about the price. He calls it $38. He keeps calling it a $40 sandwich. And he clearly doesn't understand or even display much curiosity about the difference between what he's eating and a regular pastrami sandwich, which you can get at a deli like Cantor's or Langer's or Katz's in New York. That's what he keeps comparing it to. Now, I mean, this might be an easy question, but is that an excusable oversight? Are we going to give Richie Gaines some slack on that, or is it just unforgivable ignorance?
Oh, come on. You know you didn't ask me on this podcast to build bridges.
Well, no. The thing is, I think that some people might think it's forgivable. They might be like, okay, the guy's, Arthur is calling it a brisket basturma, right? Or basturma brisket sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't he call it pastrami on his menu?
Well, okay, this is something that Arthur had posted recently, that he has a lot of books and he has a lot of old references, and a lot of them attribute pastrami of coming from basturma. Basturmi was the original name. So some would say that there is no pastrami without basturma.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand being angry about prices. I'm definitely not going to get on anyone's case for that. Things are expensive. That is the reality of LA. That is the reality of the country. That's the reality of the world right now. So if Richie Gaines is looking for something to be angry about, I get it. What I would say is that from my personal experience in the food world, being curious is going to satisfy you at places like this much more than being angry is. So I think he's valid. I just think it's misdirected. I think like there's so many things you could blame the price being high on. And if you talk to a restaurant owner operator, that'll be clear within minutes. Like there's insurance costs that companies want to get out of California, so they exorbitantly charge their clients so that they just get dropped and they could leave without getting sued. So these are things that, like, if you're not curious about why that sandwich is $38, you're not going to ask, and you're just going to be upset, and you're going to go away not having a good experience. So I do think that it's not the smartest thing in the world to just see a price, engage with that food, and then just dip and like blame that on culture. I think that's where he messed up the most. I think when he kind of...
That is, yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that, but I think the biggest mistake that Richie made was kind of attributing Arthur charging that much because he thinks it's a cultural thing and it's kind of a traditional sandwich, and that's why it's getting charged higher, not because that this is actually a very intense sandwich to make.
Yeah, that's the part he really came under fire for, right? In the video, he says basically like, I understand that this is a traditional food, but you know what?
If it's gonna be, it's not at all.
Well, but the argument he's trying to make is like, but if it's traditional and still expensive, I'm still going to say fuck tradition. I want like a cheaper sandwich, basically. And he says those words, fuck the tradition. And I think that really got under people's skin for understandable reasons. It's also funny that the other example he brings up in this video is Mia Mia Shawarma, which is a Jordanian shawarma shop, which used to be at Smorgasburg and is now on the west side. He didn't bring it up because of its price. He brought it up because it was a place where he had to wait in line a long time, and he said probably wasn't worth the hype. Pretty just dumb choice to pick two Middle Eastern foods to criticize in the same video.
Yeah, sounds like this guy just hates to see Middle Eastern people succeeding. Like I don't really have any. It's such a like Freudian slip of like, oh yeah, that other Middle Eastern restaurant that's not similar to this in the least bit. I hate them too. It's like, all right, bro, we see what you're doing. Yeah, look, I think it's such an interesting I just think it's an interesting Freudian slip for him to kind of be like, oh, this sandwich at this ethnic restaurant is expensive. It must be expensive because it's traditional.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, that sandwich is not traditional in the least bit. So yeah, I think that is the big mistake. And now some would say, okay, you make that mistake, you move on from it. Well, that's not what Richie Gaines did. A couple people commented. There was a comment where some idiot was saying, oh, like, notice how it's always one type of restaurant owner that gets upset. And Richie responds to that, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, all right, bro, like, I see what you're doing.
What, like Armenians is what he's saying?
Whether it's Armenians or Middle Eastern, whatever. The point is that, like, there was a lot of racist dog whistling in what Richie was doing, whether intentional or not. That was what was going on, and that's what he was responding to in the comments. So, look, here's my take on this. That is not a valid path to building an audience in the influencer space. Like, if you're going to try to build a following, look, we've seen this, right? How many times have we talked about on this podcast network influencers doing whatever they can to build an audience? There's a lot of different ways to do that. You can build it through education. You can build it through positivity. You can build it through comedy. Or you can try and build it through some more transgressive methods, which is what I think Richie was doing by responding to that comment, right?
Rich.
And so, that's one of the things that I'm like, look, like, that's an option. And the advice I would give to Richie is that never ends well. Like, I think he's been commenting recently about how there were some anti-Semitic comments thrown at him. And I'm kind of like, man, like, yeah, that's the internet gets dark, and you should not be fostering that environment towards other people because it's going to come back to you. It's just not a good advice. So I don't know. I think that's why I'm kind of like, again, I'm not blaming him for that, but I do think that those were mistakes that he made kind of repeatedly that he didn't really do anything to kind of address. So definitely, yeah.
It's fucked. Yeah, no, and it's fucked too because the algorithm rewards this, right? Like, it rewards you not doing your homework and pissing people off. Like, sometimes I make intentional mistakes in my videos so that people will correct me in them. I'm never doing it from like a, racial perspective, but I'm doing it from like oh, maybe I'll say this restaurant is in Palms when it's actually in Culver City, Then the pissed off Culver City people will get in my comments and tell me that it's actually, I don't do big things, but like, and I oftentimes don't even do it on purpose. It's more so if I'm realizing it as I'm posting it, I'll be like, you know what? I'll post it anyways. I can always correct it, or people can come back and we'll have a conversation about it. But when it's about something like this, which is so sensitive, it feels more calculated and therefore more evil. Also, in this day and age, and this just happened to me, you have to be really careful when talking about the price, especially of food that is not of your culture. Like, I did this with Tacos Royale and Asadero Los Angeles without realizing it. I complained that the tacos at Tacos Royale were $8 and that the ones at Asadero Los Angeles were comparatively cheaper and therefore more attractive to me. However, somebody pointed out in the comments, the gringos are always upset when you have to pay for Mexican food. And it was valid. It was so valid. And the reason it was valid is because, like, I didn't really take into account, they are giving you a fuckload of meat in each taco. Like, you know what? $8 is actually probably a pretty fair price. And if I got that amount of hanger steak at Sam's place and paid $38 for it, I wouldn't really blink twice. And I can hold my hands up, absolutely, but you have to be really careful when talking about that. So that's something that I really appreciated that Chef Arthur did in the Los Angeles Times article. He took the pains of actually explaining everything that it costs him to make that sandwich, all of the labor that it takes him to make that sandwich, like the brisket method that you yourself outlined. But he also talks about how he hates that he has to explain all of this work because he feels like his artistry gets reduced to a price. And at some point I can understand that, but at some point I think it also is a helpful communications method to like get people to understand what they're buying.
Yeah, I've always told Arthur that he's like destined to become some kind of like food professor and teach in some graduate level program. He has always been, in my experience with him, like he does so much research into food. This is not a guy who is like trying to cook and thinking what's a scalable product and what's going to bring me good margins. No, he's thinking what is something I can cook that is going to do. Like his goals are twofold, right? He wants to educate his customers on the history of his culture, but he also wants to advance his culture's culinary tradition. And there's not really that many Armenian chefs who are doing that, like especially in Los Angeles. That's why I think Arthur's such an interesting person. I think when it comes to the diners, education and curiosity are going to get you to your best possible dining experience. Like, it is one thing to just eat food and consume it and kind of have like a consumeristic outlook of I'm just going to eat whatever's cheap.
Yeah.
But it's another thing that you can say, okay, I'm going to this place because I'm going to learn something that I could not learn anywhere else. I'm going to learn it within an hour and a half window, and I'm going to come in with a curious mind. Those dining experiences are always going to be way more fulfilling than something that just tastes good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have you ever felt that way where you've gone somewhere and you've been like, oh, I may not have had this expectation of tasting this specific thing, but because I learned this was so much more of a good experience?
Yeah. It's the age-old question of how much does story influence what you're eating? And it can be either the story of why the chef prepared something, how they prepared it, or also the cultural significance of something. And absolutely, the curiosity and the willingness to embrace those stories go hand in hand. And it does make things better. That said, I'm an extremely impressionable person, the most impressionable person in the world. So I genuinely think chefs listening, if you want me to like something, tell me the story behind it. It will become my favorite dish. I am that impressionable.
2 quick points on that I wanted to add. One, I think new restaurants are coming in like knowing that there are other options. So Tacos Royale is a good example. Tacos Royale knows that if you need a cheap taco, you have a wide variety in Los Angeles. So they're not saying we're going to charge you $8 for a taco because we think we're so good and we're the only taco around. They know that if you're looking for something else, you can go there and we're going to fill this specific need in the market. I think Arthur's doing the exact same thing. If you need a cheap sandwich to go to work and get it done, don't go to Yermas. If you want to enjoy something that's a craft, that's where you're going to go to Yermas for.
Yeah.
The second thing I would also say, you were kind of giving good advice to chefs out there on how to kind of present their craft. I would also say that doesn't just apply for selling your restaurant, selling your product. That also applies to social media attention. I think nowadays the attention economy in social media is like so diluted and just pretty garbage, frankly, let's be honest.
Ouch.
I think if you can, respectfully, respectfully, I think that as a content creator, as a chef, as a business owner, if you can educate someone in your content, that is always going to be way more valuable to them than entertaining them.
Yeah.
Like if you can make someone's life better by giving them a tidbit of this or a piece of that, then that is always going to break through the media ecosphere more than a viral influencer coming in that's going to give you hype for like a couple of weeks. So that's another advice I would give to owner if they're out there listening.
I think that's really good. Yeah, on social media, give people something to walk away with, 100%. So it's funny to me that Chef Arthur took the pains, the pretty extreme move of actually removing this from his menu. It was like this video goes viral, it gets under his skin, and he's like, "Fuck this! I'm just not making this sandwich." Was that pretty extreme, or is that in line with Arthur's character?
I'm not surprised at all. Arthur takes things very personally. I love him. I'm not even saying it as a criticism. It's good. We need some passion. I think the funniest thing ever is Zanku making the boss call, making the mob call, like, "Hey yo,
that's like
the streets need this sandwich."
I was gonna say that's like the number one thing that can happen in the Armenian community, right? Is Zanku calling you?
Oh my God, I could imagine like if you're a young progressive leftist candidate and Obama calls you, it's the same as like Zonko calling you like, hey, like you made it. You're one of us now. That's like Tom Cruise calling you and being like, hey, come watch this movie and we're gonna talk afterwards. I don't know.
Oh, I genuinely, I thought you were gonna be like Tom Cruise calling and be like, Scientology, brother, it's for you.
That's what I was inferring, but yeah.
Oh, got it. Sorry, I need things a little bit more heavy-handed on this podcast, Rob. This isn't taekwondo,
Gotcha.
okay? We don't do nuance here.
Yeah. Yeah, but in all seriousness, I'm not surprised at all that Arthur took it personally. Like, you kind of have to contextualize what Yerod Mas is, right? So, for those of you who don't know, Yerod Mas is a district within Yerevan, the capital city of Armenia. I've heard Arthur describe Yerod Mas as the hood. I wouldn't go that far. It's more of like a blue-collar district. A lot of people live in like Soviet-era apartment blocks. And he's named it that because that's where his late father lived and grew up. So Yaron is a really special place. When I lived in Armenia, I remember there was a guy in our building who was essentially like the facilities manager, and he was from there. And these are like some of the nicest, most honest, most genuine, hardworking people you can meet in the whole country, probably the whole region. So when that is kind of the flagship, that's the name outside your building. You're honoring your late father by naming it that. You're cooking out of recipe books that your grandma and your other grandparents have kept through genocide and through all these things. I could understand when someone comes in and makes some pretty offhanded comments without thinking. That it gets very personal. Like, I think that's what people don't realize about a lot of these ethnic restaurants is like, it's one thing for like, Bobby Flay to cook chicken wings, right? But it's another thing for like someone like John Yao to say, I'm gonna create a fine dining restaurant that's based off of my experience as an Asian American in the SGV, and I'm gonna format it for this fine dining thing. Like, that is a level of like vulnerability that I don't think most people outside of the industry are used to putting into their work.
Yeah.
So I am not surprised at all that like a lot of offense was taken. I think most people would feel the same
Really
way.
well said. It is so. I was gonna be like, for a second, I was going to say that's true of any restaurateur, not just ethnic restaurateurs, but I actually think that is really, really critical what you just said, because it takes like some courage and vulnerability to plant a flag and be like, I'm going to go all in on the cuisine of my culture in a society that hasn't always been super welcoming to me. Maybe not in recent history, but like definitely in the last decades. It's extremely brave and extremely personal. So I can see how that ups the ante. So I'm really glad you brought that point up. Interestingly, you won't be surprised to know that not everybody shares this level of nuanced thought. And on his video, Richie got a lot of support. He were people praising him for quote unquote saying it like it is, being quote unquote real. A lot of things that you would see in a Comfy with Carrie comment section as well. Not that I would know, because she's blocked us both, I think.
I'm not blocked, baby.
You're not? You can still see her? The scam queen? Damn.
Probably will be after this episode. She might have not known, but yeah.
If she's watching our podcast that closely, I would be extremely surprised and also honored. Now, the fact that people are in there supporting Richie throughout all of this, is that more of an indictment of LA diners who just want something cheap right now and don't really give a fuck about the nuance? Or is it also more about the shocking amount of power that influencers hold?
Honestly, I don't think it's either of those, man. Like, I think if anything, it serves as a good reminder that social media is not real life. You mentioned it earlier, right? Like how we've had social media long enough now to know how the algorithms work and what they push. They push negativity, they push interaction, they push these things. So is that what you see when you step outside in real life and go visit Yeremas? Not at all, really. The dining room is full. Like, if anything, it's been busier than ever. I mean, you got a write-up from Bill Addison in the LA Times that was pretty glowing. That's always going to matter more. Yeah, so
I thought you meant I did. I was like, no, I didn't.
No, you didn't. Yeremas did. Yeah, you definitely didn't. Bill Addison does not listen to our podcast. If he did, that'd be cool. But no, I gave Arthur the same advice. I'm like, look, like he took it very personal those first few days. There was a head loss. We're not gonna act like that didn't happen. But I told him, look, the comments don't matter. Like at the end of the day, influencers have a golden touch. Now we've seen a lot of restaurants be made because of some influencers. But Comfy with Carrie is a great example, right? We talked recently on the Takeando podcast with Christy Vega of Casa Vega, and Carrie essentially tried to slow down the business there and tried to build a narrative that it's not what it once was. The food is downhill. It's too expensive. When we filmed the podcast there, we had to move to the back because it was too crowded and too loud at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. So
Wow.
I think that it's just a reminder that I do think influencers have the power to make a restaurant. I don't think they have the power to tear one down. I think it's one of those things that any attention is good attention when it comes to these restaurants. So that's what I would say to the restaurant owners is like, stop being scared of these people. I mean, if you're putting out a product that's good and you're serving your community and you're benefiting your workers and you're taking care of people, like, you will get busy. It doesn't matter what some influencer may say. And yeah, it may hurt to read those comments. A lot of these comments are not real people. Dead internet theory is a thing. A lot of these comments are also people, maybe like my parents, who will see something, comment and say, oh, like that sucks, and then forget that that ever happened and go to Yeror Mas in a week or two because they don't remember. So like, again, I just think that this is a great example for other chefs. And I think Arthur took the advice that I told him to stop caring about these things because his dining room was full. He's been posting videos of like a full dining room and being so grateful to all the people who are coming and trying. So you have to give people a chance. I think you have to give people a chance. They will come for the right reasons.
I love that. I love that. Okay, we've talked some shit about good old Richie Gaines, called him dead behind the eyes, made fun of his Orioles fandom, talked about his tone. In his defense, Richie told Stephanie Braziot that he never meant the quote-unquote fuck tradition comment to be an insult. He said that he would apply to just about any cuisine if it's like if like tradition is being used, quote-unquote, to justify a high price, not just Armenian and not just Jordanian culture. Are we buying it?
I believe him. He doesn't seem like someone who thinks before he speaks, so I completely believe him. Even when I watched the video, I was kind of like, oh, he's going to regret saying that. I don't know. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely buy it. I just think like thinking before you speak is a generous way to say it. I think you just have to demonstrate a little bit more empathy when you're thinking about these things and you got to know when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And to me, that's one of the things that a lot of food influencers lack is the humility to say they don't know. Actually, some of the food influencers out there that get critiqued by a lot of people, I respect a lot of them because they are not out there claiming to be experts. The fact that people treat them like experts is not their fault.
Right.
But this guy is out there acting like judge and jury on this sandwich, saying fuck tradition. It's just the lack of humility, really, which to me is the biggest sin here.
Yeah, I mean, I think as all that being said, I don't really see too much remorse. Like, I empathize with the fact that, look, this is his big break. This is his opportunity. He's going to talk to LA Times.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that. I would also say that it's very clear his priority is not to become a voice of the people. It's not to become the next Anthony Bourdain. He just needs a break in his personal career. Like, don't we all, brother? I get it. So I would also say to people who are kind of like following him and, you know, taking his opinion seriously, does this seem like someone who really likes food? Does this seem like someone who really cares?
Fair.
Once, you start throwing things at each other, like he's putting out some stuff about Arthur's mental health that I was just out of pocket. Again, not funny, cross the line, just kind of nasty. Again, like he's choosing to unlock this dark side of the internet, and grifting isn't the way. Like he's going to see that. But yeah, again, I just really think that maybe it was a mistake. Maybe he regrets it, but he's going to do whatever he can to build a platform off of this. I would advise him not to. Honestly, Richie, if you're listening, I would say, do what Luca and I do. We go to restaurants. We're curious. We're looking to build friendships with chefs. We're not looking to use them to advance our personal career. You are lucky. We are both very lucky. All of us are very lucky to live in the best city in the world.
Yeah.
We have so many ethnic cultures at our fingertips. And we have so many chefs who are just really cool people who will love to talk to you about them. So I would say that if you want to find some happiness in your life to make you not so angry, maybe go talk to some chefs who can explain to you some good food. Maybe they'll hook it up for you. Maybe you don't have to worry about the price too. Maybe if you're nice enough, some chefs would love to feed you.
Seems like a nice guy. I don't know about... No, I'm just kidding. So in short, to close this conversation, is the $38 sandwich worth it?
Yeah, bro. Look, I am as broke as anybody right now. I feel it. However, I love Langers. I love Cantors. We got in a little argument about that on the internet. We'll keep that one for a different episode. But these are expensive things. You know, Langer's is not cheap.
No.
Katz's is not cheap. A reminder, those places do not make their own bread. Those places do not brine their own brisket for their pastrami.
No.
Those places are not making cheese sauces. Those places, I think Cantor's makes their own pickles. I'm sure Langer's does too. But, you know, you're talking about 3 out of 4 elements that even the legendary pastrami establishments do not make from scratch, much less to order.
Yeah.
So is $38 worth it? Yeah. You can feed 2 to 3 people for that sandwich. It is a fat sandwich. So is it worth it? Yeah. Do I order it every time I go to Yeror Mas? Thank you for asking, Luca. I do not. Yeror Mas has a very large menu that is rotating seasonally. I'm cutting an ad for them right now. I should get payment.
Yeah, is Arthur
but no,
paying you
honestly,
for that?
there's a. Nah, he's not. But you know what? No one pays me for anything anymore, so I can just go for it. There's a lot on that menu that's really good. It's the same as places like Langer's. You know, what's the Langer's special number 19 that everyone gets?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even the best pastrami sandwich at Langer's. There we go.
Wow.
I said it, Luca.
He laid down the gauntlet.
I'm rage baiting you.
We love the gauntlet.
So try other things.
Okay, I've actually never had a sandwich other than the number 19 at Langer, so you might be right. I just wouldn't know. Look, I made you listen to a podcast for today's recording, so we're actually going to talk about it a little bit. But Eric Greenspan went on the Chef's Table Talks podcast with David Gelb, and they posted a clip about him talking about the Tesla diner. And because you are one of the most opinionated men on the internet when it comes to LA food, you only post it to close friends, which I think is a mistake, but that's what you choose to do. And you had a strong opinion about this Eric Greenspan interview. Would you like to share it with our listeners?
Damn, dude, not my very prestigious close friend story getting outed publicly. That's fine. Yeah, I'm more interested to hear your take on this as the comms guy, the crisis comms guy.
Yeah.
But I think there are 2 things that interested me most about that. One was the choice to do it on the Chef's Table podcast. We've talked before. I think you're absolutely right on this podcast. Chef's Table as an institution has gone from being a creative force in food documentary to becoming a PR propaganda laundering of image for large companies to run their chefs through. Harsh words. Chef's Table, if you're listening to this, I'm unemployed. Hit me up. I have a lot of skills. But yeah, I do think that's what Chef's Table has become. So I think it's interesting that, you know, Greenspan would go on this podcast that is known for rehabilitating the image of some chefs. The second thing I find interesting is that as punk of an image as the man was trying to set up, the man would not critique Elon Musk. I thought it was very interesting how, you know, sensitive and dancing around the issue that he did for Elon seemed like some free promotion there. Especially like you're promoting a Jewish deli and you're kind of like sane washing the image of a guy who did a Hail Hitler salute on like the biggest stage in the country. Like, what are we talking about right now? Greenspan, what is going on? I thought you're punk. I thought you're cool. You're calling yourself the Kool-Aid man? What are you doing, bro? Just be honest. I don't know. What did you think from a crisis comms perspective? Like, did he make it worse by talking about it? Because clearly they told him before the pod, we're going to talk about this.
He's down a clown. Like, you got to give Eric Greenspan the kudos that he's always down to talk about tough issues. Even when we talked about it on our podcast way back when, he got in the comments or he sent me a DM. Like, he's not afraid to engage. Let me read the transcript on my phone of what he said, because I have it in case so our listeners don't have to listen to the whole podcast, which, I mean, I'm not going to trash another podcast on our podcast.
It was a good episode. It was okay. It was okay.
It's good. This was actually one of the better episodes, I would say, because Eric Greenspan is such a compelling guest. He's very, very well-spoken and tells great anecdotes. Okay, this is what he says. A lot of people were like, why did you even take that job? And I was like, look, if you know me and after this conversation, you'll get this, right? There's a ton of pros and cons for doing that gig. But at the end of the day, someone's like, there's a tornado coming. Do you want to stand in the middle of it and try to drive it? You asked me that, you know? Fucking right. You know, fucking A right. I want to be there. I want to be in the middle of the tornado. To your point, he goes, I'm a fucking Kool-Aid man. You know what I mean? Like, I want to run. I want to run through the wall. And so that's what that was. It wasn't really dystopian. I mean, I guess it was. There was robots and fucking screens. And I guess that's pretty fucking dystopian. So if you're going to be choosing, you know, if you're going to be damned if you do or damned if you don't, he's basically saying he's going to do it. When it comes to Elon Musk, what he says is, he says something to the effect of like, the guy kept saying things that made their life kind of uncomfortable. And he was like, come on, man, do you have to keep saying that? So yeah, not a very strong defense. As you can see from the transcript, it's all kind of rambly and doesn't really make sense. He creates, from a comms perspective, he creates kind of a false choice where he's like, someone's like, there's a tornado coming, what do you want to do? The choice is not get killed or drive or get in the middle of the tornado. You could also avoid the fucking tornado. Like, just leave town.
Yeah.
Go to a different town. Like, plenty of towns without tornadoes. So I didn't really understand what he was trying to say. I low-key would have respected it more if he was just like, yo, money was good. I didn't know Elon was that crazy. And then by the time I was in. And now I'm out. If he just said that, I would have been like, respect. We all got families to feed. We all make bad decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's almost like he was tiptoeing around to like save himself for future opportunities with the same company. Dude, and then he calls it like, oh, I'm taking a job with a sustainability company.
Tesla.
Like, what are you talking? Yeah. Like, what are you just gaslighting people? I was just like, is that comms 101? Is just gaslight people that are mad? I don't know. It kind of works.
Yeah, it definitely works to create more conversation, definitely. Not exactly how I would have handled it. I think if I were him, I would have just handled it more head on. I think fundamentally, people just don't want to be bullshitted. And especially in a format like a podcast where it's long form conversations, it's so easy to detect bullshit or evasiveness. And that's what it came across as. I got to say, rest of the interview, great interview. Go listen to it. Highly recommend. But thank you for bringing that to our attention, Robert. Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, brother. It's been long overdue. And I love that you're like, yeah, you just invited me on because I'm Armenian. Yes, that definitely has a part to play in this particular conversation, but also you have strong opinions, and that's what we love about you. Rob, anything you want to plug before we go?
Yeah, it was an honor. My Armenianness came in for good at one point or another. Come listen to us at Takeando. I produce every episode with Bill Esparza, someone who's also totally not opinionated. He's very level-headed and not opinionated at all. No, it's awesome. I feel like editing Takeando is like a master's program for Hispanic food. So come get educated with me. I'm getting educated as well. We have a summer mariscos guide coming out next week, I believe.
Wow.
And then by the time this comes out, we also are in production for our 2026 Hispanic Heritage Month video. So go check out last year's video. It's on the Acquired Taste YouTube. We talked to Gilberto Cetina of LA Times #1 on the 101 Holbox and the Mercado La Paloma. So go check those out. Come listen to us every week.
We love it. We love to hear it. Thank you for all you do, Robert. Your work is essential to making Takeando all that it is. And now that we've seen how opinionated you get about shit, we're going to have you back on to weigh into some of these things. Anyways, we'll be back right after the break. We're going to do Chef's Kiss, Big Miss, with none other than my wife.
Acquired Taste for life.
Dear listener, I'm stoked because we have quite a treat for Chef's Kiss Big Miss today. It's someone who's been on the podcast before, but not for a little while. It's none other than my wife, whose name I am legally not allowed to say because of our prenuptial agreement. Wife, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for joining us. You've been wanting to join this segment for a little while.
Well, sometimes when we have dinner on the weekends, you will tell me some of the Chef's Kiss Big Miss things from the week, and then I will give my takes on them, just recreationally. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, damn, those are some good takes.
If you say so yourself.
If I say so myself. And also, sometimes you're like, oh, I did it. Didn't you recently do it with yourself?
Because Saul, Dad, or Father Saul, I forget what we're supposed to call him, he was coming on, but he was rudely going very fast and basically just yelling at me the entire podcast because he was stressed that he had to make his Cato reservation. So I didn't want to stress him out any further and risk getting yelled at further. So I told him, you know what, just fuck off to your Cato reservation and I will do Chef's Kiss Big Miss alone. Some people said they liked it though.
Okay. Well, it sounded sad to me. And I was low-key insulted that instead of asking me, who lives in your house, to just jump in and do you a solid, that you would do it with yourself, because that just sounds so sad.
Just dancing with myself over here. Look, icebreaker question for you, because it's been a while since you've been on.
And because it's always so awkward when we hang out.
It's we need ice to be broken.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the favorite restaurant you visited with or without me in 2026?
I literally struggled to think of a single restaurant I didn't go that I went without you to.
Yeah.
Is that how they say that?
I think you've maybe been to like one.
Yeah, and it was probably like Kava or something. Okay, you know what? This is not the single best restaurant, admittedly. I'm going to say that. But it was special for me because I got to choose it.
Okay.
My favorite eating experience thus far this year, I think, may have been going to Sugarfish.
Oh, I do it.
Because there's no way in hell you would ever go to Sugarfish, take me to Sugarfish, be like, we should go to Sugarfish tonight. I wanted a basic ass, great, whatever, night out in the neighborhood eating sushi. That's what I wanted. And I just wanted to have it not be a whole production, for you to not know a single person there, and for me to be able to just like eat in peace and then get in the car and drive home.
So it was experientially your favorite meal of 2026.
It felt neighborhood, and we don't do neighborhood a lot, and I like that.
We don't, although we went to Queen's Raw Bar just last week and each had a burger at the bar, and that was pretty delightful.
Yeah, even that, though, is, like, special. Like, sometimes I wanna eat out, and I don't want it to be special.
Yeah, fair. Okay, well, I promise you that nothing we talk about on today's Chef's Kiss or Big Miss is inherently that special,
Okay.
but I think it will be exciting. Are you ready?
Okay.
Cue the music. According to KCRW Good Food, America is enjoying diarrhea lettuce summer as I hope your mom's not listening to this one. As a cyclospora outbreak potentially linked to leafy greens and some Taco Bell locations has sickened roughly 7,000 people, proving once again that salad is just nachos with a more expensive publicist. California has largely escaped the outbreak so far, while Michigan is getting absolutely crop dusted, and officials recommend cooking, peeling, and aggressively washing produce because your little TikTok vinegar bath, it's not cutting it. Wife, my question for you, is the headline "It's diarrhea lettuce summer" a chef's kiss or a big miss?
I was wondering what the bottom line was going to be. No pun intended. I think it's a miss.
Whoa!
And here's why.
You laughed your ass off.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a miss. The reason being, I think any headline about this, at least in the state of California, is a big miss right now, because it feels like it's getting a little blown out of proportion. Note that this is also exactly what I said on about like March 10th of 2020. So so I might be manifesting the next pandemic, but I heard that not like the people, the rates of people getting this, the number of cases in California is less than it was last year.
Yeah, no, I think that this is pretty concentrated to Michigan and flyover country. Also, it makes sense because I think Taco Bell is like the national food in Michigan.
Cute.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Do you think this will finally scare me away from my late night Taco Bell trysts?
No, not at all. I think you've had like 3 since we talked about this a few nights ago.
No, that's not true.
There was for sure at least a Chipotle in there. Come on.
Chipotle, yeah, but Chipotle is not. Actually, Chipotle is going to come back in Chef's Kiss Big Miss, so put a pin in it for now. Next one. The New York Times' Ella Quittner writes that the all-you-can-eat buffet, once the natural habitat of sneeze guards and divorced dads, has gone luxury with endless A5 Wagyu, lobster tails, caviar, and even chutney concierges. Restaurants have discovered that diners will pay serious money to turn premium ingredients into a TikTok competitive eating event, and the model apparently works. After LA's Niku X switched from tasting menus to unlimited dining, sales tripled in a month. So amid inflation and Ozempic, status dining now means spending $158 to eat enough toro to concern a marine biologist. Wife, the rise of the luxury all-you-can-eat buffet, chef's kiss or big miss?
Ooh. I have not heard a single thing about this. Okay, and this is a trend you said in New York and other places as well, like other restaurants, or specifically this all-you-can-eat sort of thing?
Like, really, yeah. According to this article, I had not heard of it, but according to this article, this is a trend in the big cities, these luxury all-you-can-eat buffets.
I think it has to be a really specific thing.
In what way?
In that, like, I mean, that's basically like a Brazilian steakhouse, right?
I mean, yeah, except it's not. Like,
Well, like you're paying per thing. I guess it's the payment structure.
the payment structure is similar. Yes.
Yeah. I kind of want to say chef's kiss.
You're into it?
Well, just kind of why the hell not? I'm kind of just into something different. And I do love a buffet.
As we found out in February of 2020.
And I think it's kind of hilarious that, like, people are like, you know what, we've run out of ideas, let's just do Soup Plantation. Let's just, like, give Soup Plantation a facelift and go for it. Because, why not?
It's proven IP.
Yes.
You might as well.
I mean, there's lots of other bad ideas out there.
It's true. Why not do this one?
Right, exactly.
It's funny because last week, I think it was just last week, when Karen was on, we were talking about a Tejal Rao story in the New York Times about how the Las Vegas buffet was in sharp decline. Like, there are
I happened to actually catch this clip on TikTok.
Oh, well, it wasn't on TikTok. So I don't know how you heard it. Yeah.
Wait, did you talk to me about it? I actively avoid your content.
Yeah.
But I did. Maybe I heard it from the other room or something.
No, I think we played Chef's Kiss Big Miss at dinner one night.
Oh, that's where I heard this. Okay, I was going to say, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way. But the thing is, this seems to be like New York Times contradicting itself a little bit. Which one is it? Is the luxury buffet dying or is it alive and well?
We'll find out.
I guess so. Okay, next one. In the Substack Eating with Experts, Cy Willis argues that food media is increasingly run by people whose closest brush with restaurant work was asking whether their DoorDash driver needed a gate code. The piece calls for more chefs, bartenders, and operators who have survived 14-hour shifts, holiday service, and the financial experience of setting money on fire inside a leased building to help shape how restaurants are covered. Conveniently, Willis's platform Eating with Experts plans to provide exactly that, positioning itself as the meeting point between diners and industry insiders without the millions in venture capital, but presumably with much stronger opinions about sous vide chicken wings. My question for you: the assertion that food media needs more people who've actually worked in the industry, is that a chef's kiss or a big miss?
That feels like a chef's kiss.
100% disagree.
Really?
Yeah. Tell me why first you think it's a chef's kiss.
I mean, I think that having the basis of experience in the topic you're covering can't be a bad thing.
So are you saying that all political reporters need to have run for office? Or all soccer reporters need to have played in Serie A or in the Premier League?
I can see on your face that you've been sitting on that and you're like waiting to say that to me the entire time. So embarrassing.
That's what podcasting is.
Well, I didn't have the advantage of thinking up a quippy line 2 hours ago and sitting on it the whole time. I'm freestyling. I think that adds an interesting dimension to what you're doing, as in covering restaurants, covering this topic.
Yeah.
To have that level of experience, don't you think that would only enrich your, do you need to be a politician to be able to cover politics or have experience in politics? No.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you be really interested in reading an article from somebody that has that level of experience and is able to speak to it while covering that topic? I would be interested in that person's take. So I don't know that it's necessary, but I think it sounds like a good idea.
I think that there are diminishing marginal returns to the experience that you get from firsthand. Like, for example, there's this guy called Ben Foster. He is a...
Does he say his name like that too?
Yes, because he's British.
Okay.
And he's a former Premier League goalkeeper. And he has a soccer podcast called the Fozcast. I absolutely loved it when it first dropped because you were getting those inside nuggets and inside insights. The thing is, the longer you listen to it, you start to realize, oh, this guy's got a limited bank of stories. Like, he actually is... His experience is so... limited to what he experienced that I think he has sometimes trouble looking outside his immediate bubble and thinking about broader picture things. So to me, when I think of like more industry people working in food media, I think we need like a solid quota of people. Like maybe like 20% of food media should have like solid industry experience.
But not everyone.
Because I feel like a lot of times when you've worked in a restaurant, you're bringing a perspective from that specific restaurant or that specific city, but sometimes your feeling that you know so much can actually be a hindrance to then you going out and learning some things. I'm not saying it needs to be that way, but that's just what I've seen from other beats.
Yeah, it's a convenient opinion from somebody who's never worked in a restaurant and kind of fancies himself a food media personality, but whatever.
Wow, shots fired at the pie hole, okay? I didn't slice those pies for motherfucking nothing. All right, next one. The Washington Post reports that Chipotle has opened its first location in Mexico, bringing the country a thrilling new interpretation of Mexican food from the same people who taught America that sour cream belongs on everything. The chain says it is entering with quote-unquote deep respect for Mexico's culinary heritage, which is corporate language for opening in a wealthy Monterrey suburb and hoping nobody asks too many questions about the queso. This is great. Nobody ever laughs at my chef's kiss big misses.
That was funny.
Starbucks survived opening in Italy, so maybe Chipotle can pull this off too. My question for you, wife, is this. It's about the headline that the Washington Post used. I want to know if it's a chef's kiss or a big miss.
This is so unfair because I have so many other takes. But okay.
You could give me your other takes too.
Okay.
But the headline is this. Mexico, home of the original Mexican food, now has a Chipotle Mexican grill.
Definitely chef's kiss on the headline.
That's so good.
Massive chef's kiss.
Home of the original Mexican food.
Chef snogged. Chef's makeout.
What's your actual take on this?
Well, I was going to say, in defense of Chipotle.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Not Mexican food.
Not Mexican food.
It's not Mexican food.
Yeah.
It is another culinary genre entirely.
Yeah, it's almost like what ChatGPT would have come up with Mexican food, even though ChatGPT didn't exist when it first came out.
I don't think you're giving ChatGPT enough credit.
Well, you think ChatGPT had come up with a better Mexican menu?
I think that it could approximate Mexican food better than Chipotle has.
Fair.
But no disrespect. Like, yeah. I like Chipotle. But it's Chipotle.
Yeah.
It is Chipotle cuisine.
It is.
It is not Mexican food.
No.
It's about as close to Mexican food as any other cuisine. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally its own thing, and I think if you can understand that, then it's okay. The problem is Chipotle does think it's Mexican food. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
And that is where it becomes problematic.
I just love the idea of some, like, real-ass Mexicans rocking up to Chipotle and being like, bowl? Like, they're like, yes, I would like some of your Chipotle honey chicken. What? Anyways, hey, whatever. Chipotle, more power to you. Next one. Friend of the pod, Mona Holmes, reports in Eater that after a 2023 fire and 3 years spent navigating Los Angeles' most powerful natural disaster, the permitting process, the Tasting Kitchen has finally reopened on Abbot Kinney with chef Casey Lane back at the helm. The Venice institution is reviving beloved pastas and roast chicken while adding charcoal-fired mackerel, turbo, croquettes, and a $150 chef's choice menu because nothing says restoration, not rehabilitation, like charging you to surrender all decision-making. The room is now less bohemian and more mid-century 2026, which in Venice means the same rich people are back, they're just a little older and a little more chronically online. The return of the Tasting Kitchen is obviously a chef's kiss, but my question for you, wife, is this. Is telling your date to wear quote-unquote comfortable shoes for no reason other than a laugh a chef's kiss or a big miss?
You're seriously putting this on your podcast?
Why? Is it not fun?
Because it's such an in-joke. It's such an in-joke.
Yeah,
it's like, this is funny to no one.
You can tell the people, though.
I don't want to be responsible for your poor storytelling. I don't want to be responsible for telling this story that's not worth telling.
You don't think it's worth telling?
I don't think it's that funny. We went on a date, a date early in dating where you told me to wear comfortable shoes, and I thought we were going to be doing a lot of walking, and so I ended up wearing, like, shoes that I thought I could walk miles in. and we didn't really walk at all.
Yeah, the joke was, didn't you ask me, like, do I need to wear anything special for the date? Or?
I think something like that, because you didn't tell me where we were going or something like that.
Yeah, and I told you, wear comfortable shoes, because I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, and it's just as funny now. I was like, what?
I like getting roasted by my wife on the podcast. Babe, I have news for you.
What?
You won the game.
Chef's Kiss Big Miss?
You won.
I didn't know that you could.
Well, no one has ever lost before, but you won.
How do you win?
You answered.
Takes?
Yeah, you had good takes.
I survived it?
You survived it.
Yeah.
You didn't leave crying or,
Yeah. That's one up I have on Salmon.
Yeah, Father Saul often leaves crying. Well, seriously, thank you so much for doing this. We'd love to have you back on soon. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And yeah, that's a wrap.
I'm low-hanging fruit.
For what?
I live here.
I know. But you're not. You're a star guest. Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Love you.
Love you too. Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to our guests for making the time for us. As always, we'll be back with another epic episode next week, but if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Thread, YouTube, even our website at the LA Countdown. You can also find us on Instagram at It's Acquired Taste and at acquiredtastemedia.com. If you like what you heard here today, dear listener, please consider going to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating or review, even a follow. That really helps us. It means the world to us. Thank you so much in advance.